Welcome to another Explainer. Today, we're exploring an absolute marvel of human anatomy, specifically the highly secure, completely frictionless compartments that are literally keeping you alive every single second of the day. We're looking at what I like to call the body's ultimate VIP vault. Okay, let's dive into this.
Right now, wherever you are, I want you to just take a deep breath in. Feel your chest expand? Now exhale. Okay, so your lungs just inflated, your heart is in there constantly beating, maybe your stomach is digesting your last meal. All of these organs are shifting and moving right next to each other in some incredibly close quarters. So why on earth don't they just crash into each other? Why doesn't your heart rubbing against your lungs cause massive friction and inflammation? Well, the answer lies in exactly how our bodies are structurally compartmentalized into these specialized, fluid-filled cavities.
The hidden body compartments.
To really get this, we need to understand that the human body isn't just some hollow shell with organs floating around at random. Oh no, it's brilliantly organized to prevent absolute internal chaos. Today, we're focusing on the ventral cavity. This is the massive compartment right on the front or anterior side of your body. And this space is absolutely vital. Why? Because it's what gives your delicate internal organs the physical room they need to actually change in size and shape. Because of this ventral cavity, your lungs, heart, stomach, and intestines can expand and contract without crushing nearby tissues or messing up the activity of other organs. It's basically the main stage where life's daily physiological functions happen.
The outer walls, the thoracic cage.
Now let's zoom in a bit on the upper half of this ventral cavity. If your vital organs are the VIPs, well, they need a fortress to protect them, right? This outer armor is your skeletal chest. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what makes up that fortress. You've got the sternum or breastbone sitting right at the front. Then you have 12 pairs of long, curved ribs that wrap around to attach to the thoracic vertebrae in your back. Costal cartilages then connect the anterior ends of most of those ribs right back to your sternum. The whole setup creates a literal bony cage that supports your shoulders and, most importantly, protects that incredibly vulnerable heart and lungs inside.
But here's a totally fascinating anatomical fact from our sources. Not all of those 12 pairs of ribs actually attach to the breastbone. Nope. Rib pairs 11 and 12, the ones right at the very bottom, are what we call free-floating ribs. They curve around from your back but don't anchor to the sternum in the front at all. It's this really subtle variation in our structural armor that gives us slightly more flexibility down in the lower torso. Kinda cool, right?
The courtyard inside the thoracic cavity. Okay, so we've passed the bony armor. Now we actually enter the space itself, the courtyard of our fortress, known as the thoracic cavity. This cavity is walled off from the abdominal pelvic cavity right below it by a dome-shaped muscle you use literally all day, the diaphragm. The diaphragm effectively forms the floor of this thoracic space. Now, let's break down how this space is organized. The thoracic cavity is subdivided. On the left and right sides, we have the pleural cavities. Those are the lateral, fluid-filled spaces that surround your lungs. But in the middle, wedged right between those lungs, is a central compartment called the mediastinum. And our journey today is taking us straight toward this center.
The VIP vault, the mediastinum.
So, the crucial point is this. The mediastinum is the ultimate VIP vault of the human body. This is the absolute core focus of our explainer today. It's the highly secure central compartment of the chest. Just look at the dense, critical real estate packed into this one central vault. The mediastinum houses the heart, which is obviously busy pumping blood throughout your entire body. But it also holds the thymus, which is crucial for your immune system. The trachea, or windpipe, drops right through here to deliver air. The esophagus is actively transporting food from your mouth down to your stomach. Oh, and all the major blood vessels, like the aorta and superior vena cava? Yeah, they are routed right through this exact hub. It is, without a doubt, the body's busiest, most vital intersection for both circulatory and respiratory traffic.
If we were to map this out using anatomical GPS coordinates, we'd say the mediastinum is medial to the lungs. That just means it's located directly in the middle, perfectly between them, and it's superior to the diaphragm, meaning it sits right above that muscular floor we talked about. It is perfectly positioned in the absolute dead center of your chest cavity.
Frictionless defense systems. But here is the massive mechanical problem. You've got a heart beating roughly 100,000 times a day, lungs inflating thousands of times, food squeezing down the esophagus, and it's all densely packed into this incredibly tight mediastinum and thoracic cavity. How do they pull this off without creating damaging friction? Well, the secret to preventing this friction is something called the serous membrane. A serous membrane is this totally ingenious, thin, double-layered bag that acts as the ultimate shock-absorbing system. It lines the walls of these internal cavities and intimately covers the organs themselves. This thin membrane is literally the only thing preventing your internal organs from rubbing each other raw. It basically works through 3 steps or layers of defense. First, you have the parietal layer. Think of this as the outer layer that's stuck fast to the wall of the body cavity. Third, you have the visceral layer. This is the inner layer that directly wraps around the organ itself. But the real magic? That's step 2, right in the middle, the serous fluid. The membrane secretes this unbelievably slippery fluid right into the tiny space between those 2 layers. This serous fluid is the ultimate biological lubricant. It completely negates friction as the organ slides past the cavity wall.
The heart of the matter, the pericardium. Now, deep inside the VIP vault of the mediastinum, there is a serous membrane dedicated entirely and exclusively to the most important organ in the thorax, the heart. This specific membrane is called the pericardium. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the analogy it uses to explain this. Imagine pushing your fist into an underinflated balloon. Your fist is the heart. The balloon wraps around your fist, right, forming a 2-layered sac. The part touching your fist is the visceral pericardium, the outside of the balloon is the parietal pericardium, and the air trapped inside the balloon represents the fluid-filled pericardial cavity. It completely surrounds the heart in the secure fluid-filled bubble.
Inside that bubble, the pericardial fluid acts as a crucial, non-stop shock absorber. When the heart forcefully contracts and expands, it glides completely frictionlessly against that fluid rather than scraping against your sternum or those neighboring lungs. If this tiny layer of fluid weren't inside our central vault, the heart's constant beating would cause severe internal friction and inflammation, which is, as you can imagine, a very, very dangerous condition.
Your mediastinum is safely shielding your heart right now, ensuring it can beat over 100,000 times a day in a perfectly frictionless environment. From the bony cage of the ribs to the slippery, microscopic layers of the serous membranes, your thoracic cavity is performing this invisible, silent labor just to keep you alive. So it really begs the question, as you go about your day-to-day, what other miracles is your anatomy quietly protecting right now? Think about that the next time you take a deep breath. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.